The C2 Corvette, it came from different angles. It was an influenced car that came out of, Bill Mitchell, who was another one of these GM guys that had been there for a long time, and another fella called Larry Shinoda. And they produced 2 or 3 prototypes in the late 50s that the C2 Corvette took cues from all of them. Peaked wheel arches and a belt line that went round the front. They basically concealed the lights with rotating housings so they vanished when they weren't in use. And all of these things, this podded kind of design with a bobtail on the Roadster and that wind strip that ran over the roof of the coupe with a split rear window. It wasn't, I wouldn't go so far as to say it was a European looking car, but it was very different to anything that came out of the States at the time. Anything different with a few personalities behind it always endears itself to me as a story, and I've always been interested in them.
It wasn't something that was on my radar to drive, I've got to say, and that's probably a bit biased, but I like the looks of it. I think it's aggressive looking, it looks functional, it's got a purposeful stance.
The Americans were about showroom competition, If people bought things and they bought them in great numbers, then there was not necessarily so much reason to change it. If it worked and people bought it, then there was something right about it. And the admirable thing about that is that it led them to do lots of things with their styling, like American stylists were great with details. The reality with the Stingray was that the prototype that it was based on, loosely, had all these functional vents in it to allow ingress of cool air and hot air out.
Yeah,
on the production car, they're dummies.
Yeah, everyone calls it the prototype, but it was a race car.
It was a racing car.
That was built by them to compete. That's the perfect test bed, everything had to be functional. There's no point racing a car that's got stuff that doesn't need to be there. On this prototype, they had these amazing hood vents, looked fantastic, but what they did was they took all the high pressure air out of the front of the car and took it up so that it didn't make the wheels come off the ground when it's going down the straight. All this stuff's functional. And you've got these on the road car, but they're dummies, they don't do anything. That's what sort of irritates me a little bit. But it looks the part, right? If you're gonna go for a sports car, it looks like a sports car.